And welcome back. Here we are with the Middle Colonies. This is also a geographic and economic area. This is also sometimes known as the Mid-Atlantic colonies. So, geography, what was the land like? The geography of the Middle Colonies had a mix of New England and Southern features, but it had very fertile soil and land that was suited to farming. Natural resources. What did they have there? Well, they had excellent farmland. They had timber, furs, and coal. Iron ore was a particularly important natural resource. They could make iron, which a lot of that got shipped to the northern colonies, and the northern colonies would produce it. But a lot of that came from the middle colonies, and they did work with it here. Religion. The middle colonies is very strange in that it was not dominated by a specific religion, and that gave way to religious freedom. But not just religious freedom, because remember, the northern colonies, a lot of them were founded specifically for religious freedom, but not tolerance. The middle colonies would actually tolerate other religions. Therefore, Quakers, Catholics, which most Catholics were down in New Spain, not even in the 13 colonies at all. Lutherans, Jews, and others that could find a home here without having to face violence. Climate, what was the weather like here? The middle colonies had a mild climate with warm summers and mild winters. Trade and exports. The middle colonies were the big, and there's a reason why I put it in bold and underlined it, food-producing region. Middle colonies equals food. You should have that in your mind. And that included corn, wheat, livestock, beef, pork. Now, they were similar to the New England colonies, as in they also included producing iron ore, lumber, textiles, furs, and shipbuilding, but New England definitely did more of that. If you're going to think about the middle colonies, you should think about food producing. They made lots and lots of food. Okay, so New York was the first colony in the middle colonies. It was founded in 1626. It was a royal colony, and it had a variety of different religions that lived there: Quakers, Catholics, Lutherans, Jewish, and others. Major towns include New York City and Albany. The next colony that was founded would be Delaware, and that would be in 1638. They were a proprietary colony. Their religions were also varied. All of these could be homes to the Quakers, Catholics, Lutherans, Jews, and others, although Pennsylvania by far had the most Quakers, and the others would have been a little bit more of a mix. Wilmington and Georgetown were the major towns in Delaware. 1664, you have the New Jersey colony. It was also a royal colony. All hail King of England. Major religions varied again. Trenton and Princeton are the major towns in the middle colonies of New Jersey. In Trenton, you're going to hear about that again, as well as Princeton. Both are sites of major battles during the Revolutionary War. Trenton is probably one of the most famous. It's the site where George Washington, in the dead of winter, he gets on his ships, his boats, and he crosses the mighty Delaware River, slick with ice and massive chunks floating through. It was very dangerous, extremely cold, and everyone said, you can't cross that river. You got to settle down for the winter. And George Washington says the revolution will die if we don't get supplies. So he crosses the Delaware River and he attacks at Trenton and fights the German mercenaries being paid to fight by the British, and he takes the supplies needed to continue the war and stops the defeat of the Revolutionary War at the last second. 1682, you have the Pennsylvania colony. It would be the last to be created out of the middle colonies, and it was a proprietary colony, as in William Penn's dad. He did some pretty cool stuff, and the King of England was like, man, I owe you big. Like, I owe you so big that I don't have enough money to give it to you. So how about I give you a massive amount of land way out there in my colonies, and you can give it to your son, and he can go do stuff out there. So William Penn did. He went out there, and he made a home for Quakers and others as well. Major cities of Pennsylvania would be Philadelphia, the future capital of the early United States. It was the capital during the Revolution, and it's the capital for most of the time before Washington, D.C. is built, although New York City does serve as the capital very shortly before Washington, D.C. is built. Lancaster and York. Hopefully this was helpful.